Well, we're not really doing a podcast episode this evening, but we're doing something completely different. We are getting ready for petition seasoning, and I have with me this evening Chip Tangen and TJ Hawthorne. Chip is our political director within the party. And so we kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on, what to expect, what we need help with, because really that's, the big thing is right now we need to generate, we've been working on this a lot in the background, but Tuesday is, that's like go time, right? So have at it. Let's.
Thank you, Rebecca, who I might add is.
That feedback's back.
Oh. Okay, moving. There you go.
Okay, there. Still there.
I'm not going to be able to do much else about it.
Okay. Well, as Rebecca said, I'm the political director for the LPMN, and Rebecca is our endorsed candidate for U.S. Senate, and TJ is our endorsed candidate for House District 44B. Yay! Now, they can't get on the ballot, though, unless we work to get them on the ballot. This is because we are not a major party. The major parties, you pay a filing fee, and boom, you are good to go on the primary ballot. Then you have to win that to get on the general. For us, we have to collect signatures. Rebecca, remind us how many signatures you need.
I need at a minimum 2,000.
Okay, and TJ, how many do you need?
500.
And TJ, in your case, can they be any Minnesotan or do they have to live somewhere?
No, Chip. Actually, all signatures on my petitions must be residents and legal voters of District 44B, which this year, after last year, this last legislative session, the lines have been redrawn. So they're different than they were in 2022. But now the lines the district includes all of North St. Paul and all of Oakdale. So this actually is in my favor, I believe, but we will see.
Okay. I should explain my T-shirt, by the way.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
I don't know if everyone knows who this is. Josh Belcher was our endorsed candidate for governor in 2018. And that was the same year that Chris Dock ran for auditor. And that's where I really learned about petitioning and how hard it is. We should clarify when the petitioning window opens and closes. Who wants to take that?
May 21st on Tuesday. And
that's the opening.
Closes on June 4th for TJ and I, and we'll have to do this later, for our presidential candidate, it's going to be open for several months. But for us, it's 2 weeks. It's all they give us.
Right. So we're plowing ahead exclusively for your petitions right now. And we don't have a presidential candidate as we speak.
Not yet.
That will be determined a week from now, a little over a week from now, in Washington, D.C. at the National Convention.
Yep. Yeah, we can't even fill out the petitions until we have that kind of taken care of.
That's right. So speaking of petitions, let's pull one up. We lost TJ.
We lost TJ. He'll be back.
So this is a petition form.
Yep.
And what veterans of petitioning will recognize is its dimensions have changed. It used to be legal sized, and that was because the only template that the Secretary of State's office made available to candidates was in legal sized. We've been working on this for probably a decade, the party, and we finally got the Secretary of State to post a template on letter-sized paper. What's great about that is we can email that to everyone who is listening to this. You can find it on our website right now. You can print it out on your home printer because we know you have letter-sized paper. Very few people have legal-sized paper. So we're thrilled about this. It's making our logistics much easier.
Yeah, now we can just send the PDF to people and they can print it. And it's a lot easier to distribute.
Yes. One thing to clarify, though, they cannot scan their petitions that they went to collect, the signatures they collected, and email that back to us. That wouldn't work.
There's TJ.
Oh, wow. Well, how frustrating. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, sorry about that.
Technology.
No, TJ, I just explained that we've got letter-sized petitions this year.
Yeah, that is huge, right? I mean, that's such a pain in the butt to have to get legal paper and get that stuff printed on there. Now, you got 10 signatures per page with that old format.
Yes.
Now it's a few more papers, but yeah, I'm excited about that because we're able to just disperse this out on a mass email and hey, print this up, and you just got to get those official signed papers back, right? That's going to be but with the proper chain of command that we've got set up and delegating that responsibility is great.
Right.
Yes, we do have like kind of a top-down approach. And I know that for like up north, I'll be basically traveling down from north to south, down to the cities, and then collecting all the filled out petitions as I go, just making stops and collecting them up and then to turn them in to the Secretary of State. So,
and one thing we are making available this year is if people want to turn their petitions in early, let's say you're just going to fill out, 5. You can mail them back to us, but you have to mail them back to us the Thursday before May 30th is when we would like it to be postmarked, sent to our LPMN address in Golden Valley, and we will pick them up Tuesday morning and bring them to the Secretary of State's office along with the others that we will have collected.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to do all that together, right? The three of us at least be there together and
and as many other people as want to show up too.
Yeah.
It
was an interesting experience I keep saying last year, but it was 22 when I went there to turn them in, and I was there actually with one of the Democrat elected, Julie Blaha, and she was making a big deal of it with some kid taking pictures, and I was, I guess this is kind of a big deal, even though the folks behind the counter really didn't think it was a big deal. They were kind of, well, maybe we'll get to this. And it was disappointing, but.
Yeah, well, this is a big deal. I mean, for and for the Senate race, like this is a necessary part of ballot access for maintaining our political party status in Minnesota, right? So we have to run this race.
And Rebecca, you're speaking of your Senate race.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels weird to me to say, I'm just campaigning for Senate, because it's huge, and for the how huge it is not lost on me, and I don't know. I don't feel like, this is a great honor to be able to do this, but I don't it's not like I'm running for Senate, because it still feels a little weird,
I totally agree. I have sometimes when I get this idea in my head, like, this is really real. I'm running for this position. And if I get elected, then I'm an elected person in that Capitol. And it just it still sinks in. Like, is that even possible? Maybe, am I naive to think that that's possible? I think it really is possible. I really am looking forward to us both winning. I really think it's very possible.
Hey,
well, I think that there's a political shift on the horizon. Like, you can see people are just so unhappy, and we're getting totally off topic about the petitioning here.
Well, that's a great segue, because during petitioning, this is a lot. You really get a barometer with everyone you speak to, whether they're, there's a lot of folks that say, no, I'm not signing that. And even though I believe in democracy, those are the interesting folks. And, but then you do, I know Chip likes to say, don't start talking, just move on to the next one. I can't help myself.
It's hard when you're the candidate.
Yeah.
Because people do want to ask you about that. The only thing I could suggest to everyone, you guys and everyone else, is remind people of the time crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That we only have 2 weeks. And so you'd love to talk with them after you get on the ballot. But how many, TJ, since you've done this before, although I think your number might be a little higher, what percentage of people who sign your petition are actual libertarians? and how many are just people who are, could be Republicans or Democrats?
Well, it's a low number when you're talking actual libertarians,
Yeah.
because they had to be in my district, right? So it wasn't like the party could really help out and just sign a bunch of petitions like we can for Rebecca. But I did meet a few that were like, heck yeah, I'm really into what you believe, but they were unaware of the Libertarian Party. That's really a huge thing, is that they really that we don't get the respect, right? And I think what's happening next weekend at the national convention with Trump and Ramaswamy and RFK and all these folks coming in, they're just going to get more eyes to realize that we do have a national party and we have state parties as well, right? And so one of the things that is going to help me, I don't know how much it'll help, but I think it will help with, I have business cards from my last race that have a QR code to my website, right? And a lot of folks would ask my volunteers, I want to know a little bit about this guy before I sign this petition. And so there's this that they're going to be able to have, you know what I mean? And then that will help me campaign as I'm knocking on doors.
Well, what's interesting is someone who's, some people are going to be skeptical. I can't sign until I really know everything about you. And we may not be able to go back to them, right? It's just going to be logistically difficult.
Well,
but they could go to your website or our party website and download the petition themselves.
Oh, sure. That's an advantage of the new format as well. Yeah. But going back to your question about how many real libertarians that didn't sign my petition was a good handful. There was actually probably at least 10 people that were like, I'm totally on your side, but I'm not about to put my information on your paper for the state. And that's
those people.
Those are our folks.
I get it. Like you don't become a libertarian without like a very healthy dose of distrust.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's where it originates. But when I got involved in politics and started to do stuff, it was because the realization that you can't have an influence on the system by rejecting the system. And we're not trying to fix this, right? We're trying to dismantle this, but we can't do that by being uninvolved. We have to involve ourselves. Right. So
unless it was violent, and that we're not into that either. Right.
2 years ago, I attempted to run for Secretary of State the same year you ran, TJ, and Rebecca, you for Lieutenant Governor. And I was very surprised and disappointed that there were a lot of true libertarians that wouldn't sign for the reason you said, TJ.
Yeah.
And it was like, of all people, but.
Yep, there's the trade-off that they believe it's not worth it, and then they're the same folks that don't go out and vote either, right? So a big portion of the libertarians that would be on our side don't vote also. What is that?
So I have a question for you, and I think a lot of people just want tips on how to petition. What's your pitch when you go knock on the door?
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is TJ Hawthorne, and I'm looking forward to representing you in the state capitol as a representative of I know I'll get it down of the state house, and now I can say, well, I ran in 2022, and but actually, the first thing I always say is, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, so I've got to get signatures on this petition within this 2-week period. And I'm not kidding you. A lot of folks, as soon as I say I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, they know exactly what I'm there for, and they grab that petition and they want to sign it. That's a big chunk. Then there are the chunks that want to talk, right? But so yes. Hi, my name is TJ Hawthorne. I'd like to represent you in the state capitol and represent District 44B. I ran in 2022. I got 5% of the vote. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, so I need to get some signatures on the petition. And we have a 2-week period, so I would really appreciate your help.
Rebecca, how about you?
Let's see. Well, I would say, hey, my name is Rebecca Whiting, and I would really love it if you would sign my petition. We're trying to get, third-party candidates on the ballot? Do you want more options on the ballot? That's what this petition is for. And because a lot of times, like I would, and this time I'll be petitioning for myself, which is a little different. But you know, a lot of people want to know specifically things about like the person on the ballot or a person on the petition, you know, those kinds of things. And there were some key questions that people asked me. Probably the two main things, and I saw this mostly. I went to a biker rally and took my clipboard around, and I basically just went straight up to every single leather-clad person that walked through the door that day, and was just like, "Hi, my name's Rebecca. You want to sign my petition?" And they're like, "Yeah, here it is." 99% of them signed it, but they always asked me two things. They wanted to know: was I pro Second Amendment, and was I pro-choice or pro-life? Those were the two things that I was asked over and over and over again. And so it was like came down to that, you know, the single voting issues. And but at a biker rally, you know, I was like, I mean, I'm not a biker, but I'm like around, you know, the same kind of people that I'm, you know, like I'm very comfortable there. And so most of the people just signed the petition. I had a couple of people that were, and this didn't happen very often. This was a very small number, but a couple of people that were like, "No, if you guys get on the ballot, you're going to wreck the Republican votes and you're going to throw the votes, and I'm just not going to."
Those were the Republicans. The Republicans that had the MAGA signs in their yard were actually refused to sign a lot more than the Democrats did.
And that was my experience too.
My experience was equal. I could tell both Democrats and Republicans didn't want to. Some didn't want to help.
Well, and to be fair, I'm not in a Democrat-heavy area like you guys are. You guys are in a completely different, basically, like political culture than I am where I live, even in Minnesota. So,
but what I do in my because my petitioning will be more like most people, because you are the only two candidates we have. I'd say, "Hi, my name is Chip." I might say I live, you know, over there. My friend Rebecca Whiting is running for the United States Senate, and she'd love to get onto the ballot, but in order to do so, she needs to collect 2,000 signatures. And would you believe it? They only give us 2 weeks. And for me, most people went, "Oh, that's unfair."
Yeah. Do you believe in democracy?
So we just bond on that. Sometimes I would get stuck into a conversation about the issues and such. I tried to get away from that as quickly as I could, because the conversion rate for those is going to be smaller. It just is. And we don't have much time.
The people that needed convincing, I was just like, all right, well, you got my 10 seconds and now I'm moving on, you know, because every moment that you spend trying to convince somebody just to put their name on the signature, like you could be getting signatures from somebody else. So very quickly, throw your pitch, being like, "Hey, we're trying to do this very fast. I'm sorry, I can't stop and talk. Here's the information. Here's where you can go to look at it. And by the way, that's lpmn.org. And if you Google both my name and TJ's name, you'll find our political websites, or our campaign websites. But, you know, and then you just move on to the next person. And so if I had downtime, because I was at this like convention thing, right? It was like it was a biker rally, but there was like booths and tables, and, you know, I was there so if there was like downtime and I wasn't talking to anybody else, then I would go back to those people and be like, "Hey, you should sign this." And if I was, you know, had enough time, most of the time they were like, "Fine, I'll sign it if you'll just stop talking to me." Like, that's fine. That's good enough.
It's a time crunch.
Yeah.
By the way, I see somebody who represents one of our presidential candidates. He's in the chat. Hi, Vicky. So, Vicky, we're going to be collecting for the presidential nominee after we have one.
Yeah, after these two.
Yeah, and she asked, how many signatures do we need? We need 2,000 for Senate and 2,000 for our presidential candidate. Yeah. The nice thing, though, is we have so much more time for the presidential candidate. We're hitting 20 minutes. So I think we should maybe cut this short now. I want to point people to our website. If they go to it now, and that is lpmn.org, you'll see at the top a new section for 2024 petitioning. There's a wealth of information there. Most importantly, a link to your respective petitions that people can download.
Yeah, and if you want to get involved, to get in touch, help petition, because we would really love it if people helped petition. Reach out, info@lpmn.org, and you'll get in touch with somebody. Or you can just, message I know this is going through Facebook. So if you message the Facebook page, you'll also get in touch with somebody. And then I'm assuming whoever's tracking Twitter, that would work also.
My email is tjhawthorne@tjforliberty.com, the word for tjforliberty.com. And anyone email me, and I'm going to make some sign-up genius things on Monday and start hopefully recruiting some volunteers.
We'll see people at Grand Old Day.
Yes.
That's going to be the huge end push, and that's going to be if it's going to be a beautiful day, we're going to have huge day that day.
No, when we have a team organized that's not even on the sign up for that day, and so let Anita know. Have a team organized that's just going to show up, and they're not on that sign up sheet.
Okay, I'll definitely let her know.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that booth is manned, but that'll happen. There is a question on the comments that I want to get to really quick. How do I change my voter preference online? In Minnesota, you don't register with a party. So you don't have to. Yeah. It would be really helpful if people could register with a party in Minnesota. But that's not what we do in our state. So.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great one that we could talk about actually on a podcast on what the difference is and what advantages, disadvantages that is in a state when everybody's registered with their party.
Yeah. So, and just my email address is rebecca.whiting@lpmn.org too. So if you need to get in touch and, see where you fit in, it's either info@lpmn.org, rebecca.whiting@lpmn.org. And then TJ gave his, so you can go back and watch this video later, catch those again. So.
And we are going to have a training call tomorrow night. The link for that is on our website.
Yep. And that all lpmn.org. Perfect.
Yep. As we close, I want to thank Rebecca and TJ for stepping up to run. It takes a lot of time, a lot of family time is sacrificed, a lot of money's involved, inevitably. So thank you both for doing that.
Thanks, Chip. Yeah, it's an honor, really. I'm looking forward to trying to make a difference. Really, this is necessary, and I think we all know that.
Yeah, and it's important that we keep this going. Like, even, we just got to keep going there. I don't feel like there's any other choice. Like, you just got to keep at it.
Never quit.
Yep. Hashtag.
Now you guys.